Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Welcome to my podcast, where we are going to talk about a lifestyle with dogs and throw in a few life lessons along the way. Whether you're a hound hunter, bird dog enthusiast, running setters, pointers, retrievers, or a flat-out running dog junkie, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Heath Hyatt, a certified law enforcement canine trainer with over 3 decades of personal and professional training and handling experience. It's time for me to pay it forward. So grab your leads, lace up those boots, and come and join me on this lifelong process of teaching, training, and learning. Are you looking to unlock your dog's full potential and give them the best nutrition possible for peak performance? Then look no further. Inukshuk has what you're looking for. Inukshuk's nutrient-dense formulas are crafted to keep your dog's energy high and performance top-notch. Packed with premium proteins and essential fats, Inukshuk delivers the balanced nutrition your dog needs to thrive. From hunting dogs to police canines, Inukshuk is trusted by professionals. Give your dog the power of peak performance with Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Hope we're coming in loud and clear. Welcome back, y'all. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm going to tell you that this week has been filled with exciting news for me. Of course, Monday, Tuesday, normal. Wednesday, man, we've been super busy at work, doing some onboarding with some new hires. But Thursday, I was going through my email, my personal email, not my work email, and got an update from the Wyoming Department of Fish and Game that said the drawings had come out, and you guys know that I had put in for my Wyoming elk tag. So I go into my account, pull it up, and bam, I got drawn for the fall season. And I could not be more excited. Like, this is a bucket list thing for me, that and a moose. So if I can knock this one off, I'm going to put in for my moose tag. I did put in my moose tag 2 years in Maine, but I didn't get drawn. So I'm going to try hard for that. But yeah, I mean, how lucky can you be? This was the first year that I've actually put in for my Wyoming. I put in for Montana a couple times, never got drawn, bought bonus points, just didn't happen. So Rick talked me into putting in for the draw in Wyoming, and I did, and I got drawn, and I have been on cloud nine since. I'll just tell you that. Like, I cannot wait to get out there and actually, just take it all in. Like, take it all in. Now, I've hunted out west before. I've hunted mountain lion out there twice, but I've not hunted anything else. Of course, we've been out west a bunch of times. Yellowstone probably pushed me over the top. We was out there a couple years ago. Man, just seeing all the species of wildlife. I mean, we seen everything but a wolf. We did miss the wolf. But everything else we saw while we were in the park, multiple days. And then we hiked the Grand Teton. So yeah, I am stoked, to say the least. So that was Thursday morning. So I had put on a class Thursday, got home Thursday evening, and I get a call from UKC. Uh-oh, what's going on here? And I was invited, however you want to say it, to judge the show at Autumn Oaks on Thursday. So after going back and forth and kind of getting those details hashed out, I'm going to be out at Autumn Oaks on I'm going to come out Wednesday evening. I'll be there Thursday and a little while Friday morning. And then I got to head back because bear season's in here, and I gotta get those dogs. I got to get those dogs all the running they can get. And that's something else. The elk hunt is probably going to cut me out of the last week of chase season here. So I'm going to have to make up from that somehow, some way. And I'm sure I'll work it out. But yeah, so man, like that was just Thursday. That was Thursday. I went to a fishing tournament Thursday night. We fished these river tournaments, and man, had a really, really good evening. Caught a pile of bass. Had a really good number. Like you take the 3 fish length, and had a really, really good. We had a good number. Normally, our number would have got us in the top 2, maybe even at some points in times would have got us the win. And man, we slid right back into 4th. Everybody else smashed it. So that was that. There's still, it's always good to be on the water, and man, it's just, it's what I love to do. And then Saturday, I spent, when I say I was from daylight till dark fishing, I spent a good 12 hours. Come in and eat lunch. Took about an hour and a half downtime, and had to come back in. We camp on the weekend, back over at home with a bunch of our buddies. Most of them are our bear hunting group. We all camp on Memorial Day weekend, and we camp on 4th of July weekend. So that's a good time. We all bring our families and the kids, and man, it's just, I love it. So fished all day Saturday. Probably put close to 90 fish in the boat, bass, but we caught every species. So I fished a new river, which is one of the best fisheries in the East. And of course, I started out muskie fishing that morning. The wind was really, really, really bad, blowing. It was pushing my boat back up river. I had to turn the boat nose into the wind and put the trolling motor on slow just to kind of keep us pointed in the right direction and keep us moving down. So I musky fished for the first hour, maybe 2. And my buddy, old Gump, Dink Nelson, that's what we call him, old Dink. He was bass fishing, so wasn't having any luck with the muskie. So I switched over, started bass fishing, started catching some bass. And man, we literally caught fish from that point till dark. And the only reason we stopped fishing because I didn't have lights and stuff to fish at night, but we boated bass, red eye, perch. Hadn't caught a perch in a long time. Like that was kind of a good thing to see those because I haven't seen them. Catfish, caught a catfish off the old Ned rig, off old yoga pants, if y'all know what that is. Caught a cat off of that. And then after supper yesterday, we went back up river. I started throwing for muskie again. And Nelson was fishing right off the bank. Fish were pushed up tight on the bank yesterday. The water was up. The flow was, quite a bit stronger. It had a really green. You couldn't see in the water maybe a foot if you're lucky. It had a really greenish brown tint to it where the water had been high, and it was flowing high. Anyway, Nelson ends up catching a baby muskie off a Ned rig. So that was his first fish. So we literally landed everything except a carp, and except a carp. A carp's the only thing we didn't land yesterday that's in the new river where I fish. Now, you can go up towards the dam, the Claytor Lake Dam, and you catch some walleyes and striper. But down towards the West Virginia line where we were at, like that's what we caught everything. We caught everything that could be caught. And like I said, we was right at 90 fish yesterday. So, man, it was a great day. Great day to be on the water. Great day to be with your family and friends and eating food that we cooked they deep fried some chicken legs yesterday. And the night before we had pulled pork. So, yeah, it was great. It was a great weekend. And then this week we got to get back to it. So that was that. All right, I want to follow up real quick on getting back from North Carolina hunting, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And I kind of went over my equipment that I take with me when I pack. So that's that. That's kind of the rundown of it. I'm sure if I go on longer trips, it would change a little bit. But so one of the things that I've noticed when I get back from being down east, I worm my dogs. In fact, any trip that I go on, like when I went to Canada last year, I come back, I worm the dogs. Being down in that old nasty swamp water, uh, like, yeah, I come back and I worm my dogs. So that's something that you probably ought to get in the habit of if you do some traveling. Of course, making sure your vaccinations are up to date, rabies especially. But I come back and worm the dogs out, make sure they're clean. Like I said, you don't know what they're getting into. Like I said, they was in water probably 70% of the time, 65, 70% of the time. In fact, on day 2, we'll talk about that. They had to cross water to get to where they needed to go. So just something to think about. I want to make sure that I got that in there and everybody knew that when you go on a trip, you're in a different place, different environment, definitely different germ pool. You're in a different area, and the stuff at your house is probably going to be pretty sterile, or your dogs they've kind of been immune to whatever's going on around your environment. So worm them out. And something else too, I was thinking about this because I've got some friends that are hunting dogs for other people right now. Make sure that if you send your dog off to be hunted, make sure when you get it back that you worm it out too. I've had to, back years ago, I used to do that, and that's one of the things that I noticed, that I'd get the dog back and the stool would maybe be a little soft or wouldn't be like it should be. So make sure that you're doing that too. So hey, put him up. His fingernails are clicking all over the floor. All right, let's get into the hunt. All right, so drove down Tuesday night after I got off work. So you guys know that, like, I like to be in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's past 10 o'clock for me, like it's late. But drove down after work, got down, tied the dogs out, let them stretch, watered them, make sure they had plenty of water. And I did give them a little bit of food. I didn't feed them a whole meal because I didn't want to put them back in the box. I like to keep my dogs up at night. Baby had some extra pens, so the next 2 nights, well, no, I put the dogs out in the pens during the day after we got done hunting, but I'd come back at dark or after we got done eating supper or whatever we were doing, and then I put them back in the box, and I keep them with me throughout the night. That's just how I prefer to do things. I can keep them quiet. I don't have to worry about them getting out or running off or something happening, whatever. So it's just for me, it's just a way to control the environment. So I didn't feed them a whole lot. I give them, like a handful. And then the next morning, give them plenty of opportunity to clean out and do what they got to do. So BB and I went, and I'm sure I know somebody else was hunting, but I just don't know who went and where or what. But anyway, BB and I went to the one place that we've been several times, and I think BB realized I had a bunch of young dogs. I didn't take anything. So Sass was the oldest dog that I took. Sass is just turned 2 years old. Lady is the next oldest dog, and she, literally, she just turned 2. Now, but Lady, I didn't start her until Canada last year. So she has look at our training seasons and what little bit I got to travel last year. She's got a couple months of hunting in her. But she come in heat in December last year, so that hurt. That knocked her out of 21 days right in the middle of season. And then by the end of the season, when she come out, it wasn't very productive. So she's got, she got a little experience under her belt, but not tremendous. So even though they're 2-year-old dogs, Sassy was the most experienced by far, and Lady was the next, and then everything else was under 2 that I took. So I think BB was like, I don't know about all this circus. Like maybe I'll go on and do my own thing. But we laughed about it later. He's like, yeah, I was gonna let you just go home, see what you had. So anyway, I went and checked an area, and I will post a video today that this drops today, and y'all can kind of watch. But so I'm going down this road. I'm rigging my dogs. Um, I'm going down this road, and I get to the end of the road where the cul-de-sac is, and there's I don't know what you call it. There's a piece of tractor equipment sitting at the end of it, and as I pull up, there is a possum like sitting right there, like right there. Well, the dogs start whimpering. Okay, they're not full out blowing up; they're whimpering, and I'm like, well, they're seeing it. Ooh, okay. So I'll go ahead and I just turn around. I take my time and I back up and pull around and I turn around. Well, the possum runs from that piece of equipment over to the moat, over to the water, to the drain ditch. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna turn Sass loose, and if she takes off after it, then I'll just get her back. No big deal. So the possum had enough time to kind of get gone because I wasn't in a hurry. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a cluster. So I got 3 dogs on the truck. I got Lady, uh, Rena, and Sass. Arena's a new dog. And I turned Sass loose, and I'm telling you, man, her back feet hit the tailgate, and it was like she was shot out of a rocket. Gone. Like left-handed. And the possum went right-handed. She goes left-handed. She gets down into the high vegetation because we're at the end of a timber cut, okay? And she's just squalled. But she gone. And I'm like, oh crap. So I run around the truck, I get Lady, I dump her. She gets down and gets about halfway to Sass, and she starts opening. So I get the other dog out. I turn it loose, and it goes out there screaming too. Now this is the first time I've had her loose too. Like I know nothing about this dog. Nothing. I took a man's word for it, and um, I know nothing about her. So by then she's leaving out there screaming. So I go ahead and start feeding dogs in. And if you've heard me talk before, I don't like to just dump the box per se. I like to get them lined out. So I let the dogs on the driver's side out. I don't remember who that was, and got them fed in. And then I let the dogs on the passenger side out, and they were the last dogs. So boom, they're gone. Everybody's gone except one of the young dogs, one of the pup. And I call him a pup. He's 10 months old. He kind of hung around with me. Well, they go screaming up between the hard timber and the timber cut, and I get on the radio, and me and BB's talking. So anyway, I get in the truck because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to drive around. BB's telling me I may need to go to the hard top, so I'm like, okay. So I get in the truck and I start out there, and I'm using my new Alpha XL, and the dogs they're stopped, and I don't know why there's such a lag and stuff like that. Like when those dogs are running like that, and all of a sudden they're stopped, and they're stopped, and they're stopped, and they're stopped, and then boom, you'll either get the point on point or tree. I think I've cut my own point off. Like I think I did. But anyway, they started popping up trees. So I get out, I stop the truck, get out and listen. They're 850, 900 yards from me. And I mean, I can hear them, and they're definitely, they definitely sound treed. So anyway, I get the directions the way I need to go. So I go around, I get within 400 yards of them, and I could have went in where I was at. Probably would have been just as easy, but I'm within 400 yards of them. So I get out and I let the pup out that was hanging out with me, and I start in. And the dogs are treeing really, really good. I mean, let me just put this out there. The bunch of dogs that I'm hunting are not your overpowering tree dogs, the ones that I have. I mean, if Sassy has one fault, it is that when the vegetation and stuff is on, she's not a hard tree dog. Now, Lady, on the other hand, she is probably the best of the bunch that I had. I had 8 dogs with me. I had Sassy and Lady, I had Briggs and Bishop. That's the B litter. I had Rena. And I took Ruger for Forrest, and then I had the 2 pups. So both pups are 10 and 11 months old. And I'll call them pups until they're probably a year and a half. Kind of, it's just a habit. So I get going, and I can hear them tree, and the closer I get, it's less treeing. It's just a bark here and a bark there, and I'm thinking, oh Lord. Now, I got to go back. 69 degrees that morning, 100% humidity, and it was like that pretty much every day. The humidity was horrible, and it was supposed to be in the low 80s that morning. So 69 degrees, 100% humidity. My dogs are out of shape. Like, they haven't been out. This is their first run, and so anyway, their treeing's really slacked off a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this ain't good. But when I got in there, I had to bust off the path and go in about 40 yards to the tree, and it was kind of thick. Well, I get in there and I fall over a log, clumsy me. Well, all the dogs come to me and like, oh, Dad, you all right? I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm good. And you can even hear me on the video. I'm like, hey, boys, what y'all doing? And then they go back and do the thing. I don't particularly like the dogs coming off the tree like that. I don't. And at one point in time, I would have really concentrated on not doing that, but I don't. It doesn't bother me like it used to, as long as I got one that stays put up, and I'm pretty sure that Briggs stayed, and Lady, I don't know. It's so thick in there, I can't tell you who did what, and I can see a couple of the dogs' backs when they come to me in the video. But so we get in there, and they've got a bear tree, and she, whatever it is out on a limb. I tried to get some pictures and video of it, but it was so thick, it was really hard to do. It was really hard to do. So anyway, I take some videos. I get the dogs pulled back to the path. Kind of give a little recap there, what's going on. And then back to the truck we go. So I was really pleased with that, even though it was an extremely short race and extremely easy. But first time out, taking the young dogs, and I just evaluate the pack there. I left the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds at home, and of course Spook and Kate are 6. So I don't hunt them a whole lot until up into September, and I'll start getting them out and getting them in a little shape. But I really want to concentrate on this next bunch coming up, and I've got to get some experience, and I've got to give them the opportunities, right? So anyway, that was that. Treat a bear. I'm pleased with it. I feel very confident that Sass, Lady, and Briggs, that's the 3 that, are coming on really good. I may not be able to catch every bear with them, but if I can get them in a bear track and get them lined out right, I feel pretty confident that, those 3 will do what they're supposed to do more consistently than not. So anyway, BB ends up finding a track. He really worked for that track. Like, man, his dogs were out, and I went around and tried to, get some in with one of them, and I don't know what happened, but he turned and was roading them back down the other way. And anyway, he ended up getting after a track. He had Sassy with him at that point because I had put her out to go with some of his dogs, and they come out in the roadway. He picked them up. So he put his in, and Sass, and they ended up getting on a little bit of better race. They got on a pretty good race, and they end up treeing. And we go into it, and we follow a 4-wheeler path in within 100 yards of the tree, and that next 100 yards. And if you guys looked at my reels, like, BB was 10 foot from me, and I couldn't even see him. Like, I couldn't see him. It was so thick in there. I got wrapped up in the briars and the green briars, and I'm telling you, man, it looked like I'd been in a fight with a razor blade on my arms. People think I'd be a cutter at that point, but that bear was a little smaller, probably 80 pounds. And got it treed. Finally, I mean, it took us a little bit of time to get the dogs out of that mess because, trying to pull them back, lead them. Once we got away from the tree, we can turn them loose. But that was a mess. But Baby's dogs did a really good job there. Worked on that one. So that was the first day. Good day. The second day, we are just looking, checking roads out and checking roads, and we found a pretty good. Baby found a pretty nice track in an intersection. So we go up and we put the dogs down, and he's hunting some young dogs too. They make a couple circles in there, and we could see the bear had crossed the road, slid down into one of those drainage. I don't know, whatever you call them. It looks like a moat to me. That's what it reminds me of. But a drainage ditch, and it crossed the ditch, and you could see where it come up out of the water and had laid the grass and stuff over on the other side. So trying to get the dogs, the young dogs had never, mine had never experienced that. But anyway, Sassy went on, and one of his dogs went on, maybe two of his dogs went on, and then once they got over an opening, I had everything win except the two pups, and Bishop did not like that water. She did not want to get in it. Pretty discouraging. But they got in there and they ended up making a loop into that block, and they ended up treeing. We get into the tree, and it is definitely not the bear we turned on. The bear we turned on was a really good sized track, which doesn't mean everything, but like it was a lot bigger than what we treated. We probably treated another, I don't know, maybe an 80, 100, probably 100-pound bear, and treated in a big pine tree. So we fooled around with that for a while. It's getting warm, getting really warm. So we called that a day. Man, and then on the last day, we decided to take advantage of one of Doug's setups. So we took the young dogs, the pups, and two young dogs down and put them in a fox pen just to see what they was going to do. And the two pups did not do what I would prefer them to do. The older pup actually did go with the dogs a couple times, but didn't stay in it. Definitely wasn't trying to run to catch it. And if he seen you in a path or in a roadway, like he'd drop off, come to you. And if the dogs come back by, he'd fall back in and go with them and kind of do the same thing. And then the other pup, just yeah, he didn't want any part of it. But that's a part of hunting young dogs. Everybody matures differently. Everybody comes around at different ages. Both of the young dogs have got. I have seen signs. Let me put it that way. I have seen signs of potential. And like I said, I've worked both of those pups on a couple coons. When I say couple, I mean two, like two coons. Their actions are really good. They've done exactly what I would expect or would want my dogs to do on a coon. And it is what it is. We're gonna spend some more time with them. I definitely want them, to definitely show me a little more. To say I was disappointed was probably, yeah, I was disappointed. But at the same time, I understand the progression level, and not all dogs, just come out of the gate running. Like they don't. And when you have those dogs, you need to be very fortunate that genetic makeup is firing on those cylinders that you want them to fire on. So, going to put some more work into them. I'm gonna give them plenty of opportunities because it's not fair to the dog if I don't do my due diligence and put the time and the effort to give them the opportunities to succeed. Right? We've done all the foundation work. We've done the loading and the leading, and that was a pretty long haul for both of those dogs. If you heard me a couple weeks ago, we talked about going and getting shots for everybody. Well, both of those dogs, that was their first time of really being hauled, and it was only like 20 minutes down the road, 20 minutes back. Had to sit in the truck for an hour. So we spent 2 hours in the truck. Throwing them in the truck and driving down east, that's 5.5 hours, and then They stayed in the truck all night, and then hauled them 45 minutes the next morning. So it's a change, right? And I understand that not all dogs can just come out of the gate they're wide open. Yes, that's what I would prefer. That's what I want, and that's honestly what I expect. But I also realize that this is a big change in environment. We haven't got to haul the dogs. We haven't got to do a few other things with them. So I'm going to do my due diligence and make sure that I'm giving them every opportunity. Now, and if they don't, they don't. They don't work out, right? All dogs don't work out. If they did, we'd only need 5 or 6 dogs and we'd be good to go. But that's just not how it works. But I really like them, and I'm really hopeful that they both succeed because I want them to succeed. I don't want them to fail. I want them to succeed, and I'm going to give them every opportunity to do that. So, just kind of evaluating what's going on. Took the two-year olds, and everything else was under, down to 10 months old was the youngest, and um, I always enjoy going down there, and honestly, I will say that from the first time that I went down and hunted with BB and Doug, that my dogs, it was a little bit of different environment. Um, I felt like my dog struggled a little bit, and I can see now. I mean, this was my third year, maybe third year, maybe four, and I didn't take any of the dogs that I started going with, but I can see a difference in the dogs. Like they're not. It's they've adapted. They've adapted to a different environment, and they're moving on. So really pleased with that. And so BB and I sit around. Man, he's got the best. I mean, I'm envious because his kennel setup is phenomenal. He just finished his feed room, which he's got cabinets and um, countertops. He's got an ice maker. We was filling up our coolers with the ice makers, and a place where he can just slide his pallets of dog food in. Um, it's really, really nice setup. But we were sitting around there. We always talk and you know, what if this, what if that, what about this, what about that? It's always good just to kind of like bounce things off the wall and kind of maybe even get a direction. But on the way home, I got to thinking about, what is my next breeding? What is my next breeding going to be? I've got two, one, two, three. I've got three gyps. Now I'm excluding Sassy and Lady because they're just two. I'm not in a big hurry, but I've got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I've got dogs that um, I want to breed. I'm trying to make that decision which direction I'm going. How am I going to breed these dogs? How am I going to go back into the same lineage? Am I going to do an outcross? What traits am I looking for? What holes do these dogs have? Because all dogs have holes. I want to try to complement that hole if whatever it may be. So on the way home, I really got to thinking about that and which way I'm going to go, which direction. And I don't know that it'll be this year. Yeah, I mean it'll probably be this fall before I actually make a decision because will they be in heat? Yeah, both of them will be in heat in the fall. So which will put me out of hunting season. They'll miss either training season or kill season, whichever one. So I'm going to end up missing a season with that. But yeah, just trying to make a decision on what I'm going to breed and which direction I'm going to go, and looking forward to that. And I've got to get my puppy lot done. I kind of want to do the thing that you see the lots on the side of the road that have the building in the back where you can go in and the dogs can run inside and the runs are on the outside. They got a roof over it. I'm going to build something similar to that out here where I keep the pups now. I put a tarp over the pen with hog paneling to hold it up, but they chew through that. Like if they get bored and they get up on the doghouse and they can rip it down, they rip it down. The sunshades, they do the sunshades the same way. So we've got to get something in place before we have our next litter. That's going to be a absolute must is to have that done and have it operational. So we can raise the pups outside instead of in the basement and be able to go into some type of enclosure and spend some time with the pups and have heat in it if it's wintertime, have air in it. We've noticed the last 2 summers when it's been extremely hot, we've had a litter each summer, and I mean the pups, they don't like it, man. They get very vocal, and we ended up putting, a fan in there or some ice bags, cool them down, shut them up, and they're fine. So we want to be able to have climate control in that area. So we're going to work on that. But anyway, until next week, catch you guys on What's Up Wednesday.